go ahead and get started. As folks come a little late, they can just sort of jump in. We're at the point of where we're at. We have some preliminary things at the beginning, which will give people some time to get here if they're running a little bit late. First, I'd like to thank you for coming out to learn about our city water department and our water system and water rates. Since it's such a small group, we can make this a bit more interactive. Normally, we ask you to wait till the end to put your questions on those cards, and at the end, ask us questions. This is such a small group. We'll be a little bit more informal today. So if something happens, you have a question as we go through this, feel free to raise your hand. Again, it's a small group, so we can do that. If it looks like it's going to be a problem, we'll ask you to hold your questions. But if you could still write your questions on your cards, that would be helpful. We are keeping track of all of the questions we receive, so that as we do future presentation and put out future written information regarding the city's water department, we want to make sure we capture as many of the questions that you might have. So when we get started, we'll start off with just a few brief introductions. We have a number of staff people here today. My name is Elaine Aguilar. I'm the city manager for the city of Sierra Madre. We have Karen Snyder, who is our finance director. We have Bruce Inman, who is our public works director and also our water department director. And way in the back, we have James Carlson, who works with Bruce Inman in public works, and Benita Munoz. I almost called her her baby too. Benita Munoz, who is Karen's assistant. So thank you, just so you know who we are this evening. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of information, and we really did our best. You can see from the copy of the presentation you have, we give that with you to take it home with you because there's so much information. If you find you have other questions when you get home tonight and you look at that and something comes to you that you didn't think of asking tonight, please feel free to give City Hall a call and ask for Bruce, Karen, or Elaine, and we'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Again, it's kind of a long presentation because we really wanted to answer as many questions as we could and address as many issues as we've heard about over the past 6 months since we've started this process. Again, we gave you the 3x5 cards. If you could just write your questions on those, feel free to ask them as we go along. If you could jot them down, it just helps us to keep track of them. And we will try to answer. If we don't have you answer, we will get back to you with the answer. Occasionally we get stumped and ask something we don't have immediately between the three of us, but we will get back to you and get you your answer in a few days once we're able to research the question. The last thing is you were given a survey. Each of your seats, there's a simple one-page survey. You can keep it anonymous. You don't have to write your name and contact information down. We want to know basically what you felt about the presentation. If it was, in an easy to understand format, if it raised more questions than it answered, if there's something we can improve on for future presentations, and most importantly, the number one reason the City Council asked us to go out and go out to the neighborhoods and talk to folks is to find out what you think about what future water rate increases should look like. And we'll do a little bit of preliminary information regarding what got us here this evening, a little bit of information regarding the water rate increase that was proposed, which the council ended up not approving. So we'll do a little refresher on that, and then at the end, we really would like to hear what you think would be reasonable. On May 11th, the City Council authorized staff to begin with the process of increasing water rates. Proposition 218, and we go into this a bit at the end of the presentation, but briefly up front, it was an initiative that was an amendment to our Constitution, California Constitution, and it was approved in 1996 by the voters, more or less, and it required municipal governments to have to go out to the public whenever there were fees increased as a result of somebody owning property. We go into this a little bit more at the end of the presentation, but the law wasn't very clear as it was written, and it took a number of years through litigation for cities to really find out what they were supposed to do. Initially, cities thought this law primarily pertained to assessment districts. City's going to put in new utilities and they're going to put an assessment on your property taxes. Originally, that's what this law was aimed at, and then through litigation, it came out, no, it applies to a lot of other things, including water rate, because you wouldn't get a water bill if you didn't own property. And it unfortunately isn't the clearest process possible to implement. And staff, we did the best we could. We've heard some feedback on it. So if you have any thoughts on that, feel free to share that with us at the end. The proposed, and whenever we use the word proposed, that's referring to what the council originally considered back in June and July when we use the word proposed. So back in June and July, the council was considering a rate increase. And similar to in the past, if you've ever looked at your water bill, there's two components in your water bill. One component is a flat meter charge connection fee. It's a smaller fee if your meter's smaller, it's a larger fee if you have a larger meter, but it's a flat amount. That amount never varies from month to month. The second part of your bill is the consumption part of it. That's the part that varies based upon how much water you use. So those two things together made up your total water bill. As part of the changes that was being considered at the time was to change the consumption part of your bill to a tiered system. Those of you who receive your Edison bill are already familiar with the tiered system. If you look at your Edison bill, it'll say baseline amount, 0 to X, I forget the measurement, at this amount, and anything above baseline is at a higher cost. It's a similar thing. That's what a tiered system is. Any water used between 0 and X amount was at one rate, and then starting at that X amount, going up to another amount is a second rate, and so on. That's what a tiered system is. And tiered systems basically are implemented in order to encourage water conservation, just like your Edison bill has a tiered system in order to encourage you to conserve energy. The original, the first column there is the current. For instance, I mentioned your flat meter charge varies depending on the size of your meter, 5/8" meter and 3/4" meter, which is our typical meter for residential, for most residential, most houses. The meter charge was $40, is $40 currently. It was proposed to go up to $46, which was a 15.75% increase. And then there was approximately 3.5% increase in that meter charge across the board for all meter sizes going out for 5 years. The second part was the part I mentioned, your consumption. This is a variable amount that is dependent on how much water you use. The current per cubic foot charge for 18 cubic foot charge is $1.79 per month, and that was proposed to increase by 15.75% to $2.72. I have a slide in a minute to show what this really means to your average water bill, so don't worry about remembering these numbers. But again, similarity, the first year was 15.75%. Future years were in the 3.5% range for year 2, 3, 4, and 5. But what does that mean to your average residential water bill? We can actually do this calculation for you if you want to know about your specific water bill, and if that water rate increase had been put in place, what would it do to your water bill? You can contact Karen's department. They'll actually work up this calculation for you. Well, we looked at what our average typical residential consumer in Sierra Madre. As I mentioned earlier, it's a 3/4" meter with about 40 units of consumption. You can see where the two tier 1, the proposal was 18 units a month for your first tier, and above 18 units a month for your second tier. And so you can see the first 34 units were at the $2.72. The number of units above 34, 6 more units, at $2.12.6. See that little increase between the first and the second tier. The total for this average typical residential customer with 40 units of consumption and a 3/4" water meter would have seen a monthly increase of approximately $8.95 a month. Now that number there will vary depending on your particular, the size of your meter, and how much water you use. Again, we tried, because people always ask, well, what does that mean on a typical average residential water bill? On a typical average residential water bill, it was a little less than $9 a month increase is what was proposed.